Beautiful, beautiful. What's today? Wacky Wednesday? You already know here in Southern California, it is a hot day, warm day. Um, another chaotic day here in Southern California. I would say perfect weather to be out there and enjoying yourself, but with all the chaos going on, there's not really much, to enjoy, right? It seems this has definitely thrown a wrench into, stuff. But I'm excited to hop on top of the one individual, see what's the talk of the town is going down the one in the curve. You heard me. Because here it is still the same, right? These protests and these raids have affected, a lot of workplaces when it comes to how the flow of work goes. My love bug is definitely up in the building. Love you, baby. What's good, Dashpool? We've been feed, man. What's cracking like a little rich? Everything's going good. Still a whole lot of chaos happening around, but other than that, it's all great. Death Row was cracking like in my boy. US is hot. Yes, it is. I heard it's happening all over the damn place. So, seeing that it was happening in Texas and, New York and Chicago and, Milwaukee and all kinds of shit. On my target today, just finished shopping from Sam's Indian grocery store. Now, orale, all right. Thinking about eating some Panda Express right now. Did you get a chance to result? Nah, I haven't, bro. We just been stuck on the whole, political bull crap. Here in Atlanta, someone broke 3 cop cars. Shout out, Devro. Yeah, I know. It's crazy that the narrative that people try to spin is that these individuals that their whole goal is to create chaos and destruction and fuck shit up, when in reality that's confusing the looters for the actual protesters. Out there's 2 sets of groups. There's the protesters who are actually fighting for the injustice and fight for these individuals. You have looters who are just looking out there to chaos and break into shit and free merchandise. So there's no set of groups. But you already know how the right media likes to spin it, right? They like to paint them that they're all the same, or that they're all the same group. I heard that they're going to be sending out the Marines. Are they going to be sending out the Marines? More Marines? They're going to be sending them more, or they're going to be sending them back? Because I would believe both. Shit is crazy. What are your thoughts on fools from somebody who think you are expected to pay their bills and give them money in time? I have never came across some shit like that, though. So I don't know. I never heard of such a thing. Like, it's not expected, If a homie does it, he does. If he don't, he don't. What up, taco truck, elotero, paletero, man, trucha. It'd be crazy out there. Imagine no eloteros. Damn, bro, that'll be a cold day. No paleteros, son of a bitch. But more force, I believe. Probably, Donald Trump does like to flex. He's a tough guy. Oh, they'll submit to me. Like, isn't the president supposed to look for, to fix problems without actually, throwing weight around? No. Give it a shout out. What's cracking like in? Sleepy 310? The rapper who makes it. The rap have those fools that. But see, that's because those individuals are not respected, though. You get what I mean? Those are the type of individuals that they've seen that the reason why they come at them like that is that they seen that they never did nothing for the hood, that they just claimed the fame, right? Like they never actually did their part. So that's the reason, like, hey, at least you can do this since you never actually did anything, but you want to claim the fame. Get what I'm saying? Compared to someone who's actually, done stuff for the neighborhood, right? Because then what can you actually say there, you know? Or how can you actually, text this individual and, thinking that it's all good? You get me? So that's the reason why that tends to happen. Like I agree. I think that Little Wayne and Chris Brown and all them should kick down some money. Shit, at least they can do. They weren't really out there putting nothing, and at least do that. What would you do if someone tried to do it to you though? Ask you for money all the time. Is it a working? No, I'll tell them that we'll get a job, my boy. What if Shadow? What's cracking like Mr. Pasa? Disorder, would you say Darth Vader is? Darth Vader is probably a sociopath, right? Because there is stuff that Darth Vader does care for, right? Like he does care, you could say that he does care for, like, his kid, right? His loved one, right? But he's still, um stuck in delusion enough to be committing all this mass genocide and killings, right? So he only cares for shit that revolves around him. Compared to a psychopath who really doesn't give a fuck about anybody or throw anybody under the bus. I would say he was probably a sociopath. Not just those rappers who never died. There are some rappers who have their old homies asking them for shit all the time. Those old homies are actually broke because I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know, those situations. I never had to experience those situations, so I wouldn't even know. It's kind of, I never really hear about none of that kind of stuff. It'll be kind of hard to say. Puro Sur 14, Norte 13 kill it. Surteños. But I do believe that it probably does occur, right? I just never seen it for myself. But then, like I said, it's probably because of the case of those rappers, though. Notice, started applying at their new jobs. ISIS reading is your duty to your country to fill those new jobs openings. Start working those fields? Bro, these fools are not gonna want those kind of jobs, bro. These fools are not gonna want to do those kind of things. They just say that they're stealing our jobs because it's part of the propaganda. They really don't want those jobs. That's part of the rhetoric, bro, to make their papi look like he's not in the wrong. What it's really gonna do is cripple the economy, right? Less people now, spending money here in the United States, right? They acting like if all these illegals, right, didn't still have to pay rent, electricity, water, groceries, everyday necessities, right? That's spending American currency here in America, right? Keeping the money flowing. Now, if those individuals are gone and the money stops, oh, you're definitely going to feel it in your economy. You're definitely going to feel it in your economy. But these individuals don't think that far ahead. They don't think about that kind of shit. They don't worry about that kind of shit. All they care about is getting their point across without actually, really thinking about the consequences that it could cause to your growth of your economy. You get what I'm saying? Because they just want to be right about what they believe in, and that's it. And, proving the left is wrong because of the dislike and hatred towards the left, because they feel like the left is the reason why they're stuck in the predicament that they're stuck, right? It's the blame game. Got to blame somebody because you can't be looking in the mirror. No offense, but you gotta be the loop to not hear about that stuff. I have never heard it in the history of being in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, maybe it occurs like with, or maybe it's just propaganda that people push, right? But I never had to experience that or heard anything like that, right? And I'm definitely in the loop, right? But there's probably individuals that do, but that's probably maybe in the rap scene of things, right? The same thing with the whole chicken shit, right? Or paying protection, by these individuals. It's all TV talk. No baby's brother just got arrested for stealing, breaking into cars. Is a, I know they won't, but I'm trolling the mega support. No, I know. I feel you. You know, it's crazy. The fact that I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom. I dislike Gavin Newsom, right? The fact that it's like if I'm defending him out here, it's ridiculous. It's like, man, I can't believe it it almost sounds like I'm defending the individual when fuck that fucking idiot. I am not a fan of Gavin Newsom. Not even a fan of how he's handling this situation, right? It's kind of like, like you didn't even step in to try to fix the problem when it was like barely starting, right? Like you were acting like if nothing was happening, right? And now you want to come and now say what you want to say when everything has already unfolded, when fucking everything already hit the fan, bro. Where were you at before then, bro? Why didn't you step up before then? But nah, you were pretending like if nothing was happening. And now that all this shit is, going down, it's like all of a sudden, like, yeah, bro, great timing, homie. Just like with the fires, great timing, homie. What are your thoughts on Edison? What do you mean, in general? Well, he was not the best of individuals. He was a shady individual as well. Shout out to man, Norteño, Fresneros, Sureños, Tijuaneros, Chicaneros, Califa. Serio, shout out to everybody. Don't get me wrong, there are homies who are entitled just because y'all are homies, but usually once you tell them no, they either stay mad. I have had individuals, that have, like, hey, can you shoot me some funds, bro? And I have shot them funds, right? But for them to come and keep asking and stuff like that, I never had that happen, right? Or like get mad and stuff like. You get what I'm saying? Like I have never had that occur to me. Oh, bro, so many. Sued people. He low key the reason why Hollywood was created. Yeah, I'm telling you, he was an individual who had a lot of shady, who did a lot of shady dealings. Right? He was a very bitter person. Right? He kind of reminds me a little bit like of Elon Musk, sort of. Right? Like the way the way he grew in his legacy. Right? By doing questionable and shady fucking moves and throwing a lot of people under the bus as well. Shit, you could even say that stealing several individuals' ideas, you know? But it is what it is. It's probably just a black thing. Gotta remember black and Hispanic values structure. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to say that it probably, because I'm not from a black neighborhood, so I don't want to throw that on their plate. You get what I mean? Because I really don't know how they run their stuff, right? So who knows? Maybe in theirs, maybe I just can't. I wouldn't be able to speak on that because I'm not from there. I'm not from a black neighborhood to be, like so recklessly to me and being like, yeah, that's what it is. You get what I'm saying? I know that there's some people that do that. I'm just not one of those people, right? I'm not gonna ignorantly, try to pretend like I know how their shit works, even if I have heard some stuff. Because hearing stuff is different than knowing stuff. They trying to send Newsom to just. Right now they're both flexing though. That's what it is. Trump is like that, bro. Trump. If somebody says something negative about Trump, Trump is gonna say something negative about them. And if they reply back to Trump, then Trump's gonna say something back. Trump is not gonna be one to take the high road and not respond back. Trump will keep responding back until the other side shuts up, and he gets to say, "I won." But he will not be the one that takes the high road, bro. He's not. He's not. He'll keep insulting you back until you stop. That's how he is. That's his persona. He'll have the last laugh, the last word, showing that he won. I told you. Because that means that much to the individual. If he stays quiet, what might people think about him, what they might say about him, right? And he can't live like that. He has to be the one that gets the last word because he feels like that he wins, right? Because Donald Trump never has lost anything. Remember, he never loses. Never, ever. He has never took an L in a day in his life, bro. Ever. He has won everything, and he's the best at everything he does. He's even compared his golfing skills to some of the best professional golfers out there. Even though, well, everybody says, differently, right? And it's crazy that his supporters can't see that. Or maybe they could, they're just in denial. Or maybe they just play stupid, I don't know. It wasn't until Darth Vader lost his wife as Anakin until he turned evil. Well, no, remember, he was questioning the dark side before that. Well, critiquing the Jedis before that, though. There was some, questions already that he harbored. Him losing his wife was just probably the straw that broke the camel's back. He was a chairman for the production. He basically had to go through them to make films, studios. Yeah. What's cracking like in Derek? What's good with you? Trump just a petty dude. Yeah, he is. What kind of cars do you fuck with? Japanese, American, or your? Probably all of them, right? If the car's chingon, then I don't specifically stick to like one or the other, right? I kind of think that they all have like their fucking cars that are like, damn, those shits are fucking clean, Depending if they're all like souped up, like if they're all fixed up chingon, Because Europeans have some nice ones. So do Japanese. Japanese more than like the street racing type of whips, right? And then Euros having the more luxury type, but America having more of the muscle type, right? But all three are chingon though. You know what I mean? When they're souped up chingon. But I'll probably gravitate more to American cars. Trump thinks he's better than Tiger Woods. He showed him. He's fucking Steven Seagal. Trump's just like Steven Seagal. Trump is crazy. Tiger, he's nothing to me. I'm the lion. That's why he's the tiger. Hey, well, tigers are stronger than lions, though, bro. No, they're not. The lion's the king of the jungle. It's like, it's because they don't share terrains. Yes, they do. Benz BMWs are their favorite Euro cars. Yeah, they got some clean ones. Because, there's some type of Skylines that are all souped up that look nice as fuck, right? Then there's some type of, like, BMWs that, when they're all souped up, they look chingon too, right? But then you have, like, Chevy Novas and all of that souped up, they look perro too, It just depends. Depends what we're talking about, Like, shit, even some Mitsubishis all souped up look chingon. Hey, bro, did you read my comment about Rich? No, I didn't, bro. Wait, when'd you put that? It's because on my side, I noticed this like when I like sometimes when you guys like put like some hey check out this song right, and I go back and I scope out the live and I read through the comments right to try to get the name to try to remember what the name was, right? I'll notice that there's some stuff that people ask and on the or at least when I'm doing the live they don't pop out on my side for some strange reason. But I get it. I mean, obviously since it's run by a system, I'm assuming it's gonna have errors to it, right? Especially a lot of people doing lives and it's got to keep up with everything, right? So I'm assuming that there'll be some errors here and there. That's probably why that happens. It reminds me of like in the future. um, Palpatine didn't give a flying fuck about his apprentice. He didn't give a fuck about nobody, bro. I'm telling you, bro. That fool got no loyalty to nobody. Ese güey le valía verga. Fool even killed his own master. Just like narcissists. They're just possible. But yeah, well, they all have been are narcissistic, right? Trump's like that too, bro. Like you know, you're only as good as you're when you're good to Trump, right? And once you like, he has no use for you. He'll throw you under the bus. Or once you question him, right, or disagree with him, is the day that you're out. You're out. He'll get rid of you. He's not a person who likes to be told no, right, or to be able to disagree with him. As soon as you disagree with him, that in itself, he'll get rid of you. Even if you try to like backpedal or whatever. To the day that you disagreed with him was the day that you died to him. That's just the type of person he is, bro. And where's the evidence? We have seen him do it to all kinds of individuals that he, was down with before. Best part about it is that he used to put out all the shit himself, right? So it's like people can't even say that that's a lie because it came out of the lion's mouth, his own, right? Like he himself, put all that shit out there. It's like, bro, if he doesn't give a fuck about these individuals who literally, helped him, achieve, what he achieved, the ones who were defending every single lie he would tell, the ones that would, glaze him up the ass. If he didn't give a fuck about them when the push came to shove, what makes you think that he really gives a fuck about America or Americans? You know what I'm saying? He's got no loyalty to nobody but himself. But the reason why people think that he's the right pick is that because he's not a politician, right? So they feel like, you know, he's not like those other people. I said it's crazy because even though, even though it's a rich versus poor thing, instead of like is white poor whites voting for rich whites like Trump who don't care about. Well, not no. Here's the thing though. Not all these white individuals like to do that, right? Um, so to say that they're like it's the whites, like well, no, because not all whites are like that, right? And the thing also is that yes, the elite use that to their advantage, and not just the whites, but like let's say if it's a rich black person or if it's a rich Mexican person, he could just easily manipulate by saying like, "Oh, come on, you know that I wouldn't do you guys like that. I mean, come on, we're both brown, we're both raza, so why would I?" And then next they fucking do you dirty, but they use the fact that you guys are both raza to gain your sympathy and your trust, right? When it's like, well, just because you guys are both the same ethnicity doesn't mean that these individuals actually do care for you or do understand your point of view or do or are gonna fight for you, right? It's just easily could be a manipulation tactic, right? They only care about improving themselves and succeeding for themselves, right? Selfish individuals. But a lot of people like to use those manipulation tactics. That's why I always say, like, I don't give a fuck if we are the same ethnicity. Like, let's say if a crime occurs right here in the room, right, and you have different ethnicities, right, I'm not gonna automatically dismiss the raza individual just because we're both raza. It can't be him, Like, nah, all y'all motherfuckers are guilty until we find out what it is. But just because the both ethnicity doesn't mean that you're gonna get less, or that you're gonna get some type of sympathy or special privilege. Like, nah, bro, the fuck. Like, you gotta see the humanity in people, not just the skin color and shit. It's so easy to get lost in pride. You know, kind of like when people say that, oh, our culture's the best culture, our culture's the most beautifulest culture, and it's like, well, no, I never say that. At least, I always say, well, no, well, I'm proud of my heritage and I'm proud of my culture, but everybody's culture is the same. Everybody's culture is beautiful and has their goods to it, bro. No culture is better than no other culture. So it's so easy to get lost in that type of saying, right? Like, if let's say if you guys are all in the same area and saying that, oh, that you have the best culture, right? Because then everybody else is gonna feel like, what the fuck? Like, nah, well, my culture's better. No, my culture's better. And then you're gonna start an argument over some stupid shit. And it's like, how hard is it to say that all of your cultures are the same and you guys are all equal? Like, is it really that difficult to say that all your cultures are equal? Like, if you're saying yes, then that is crazy in itself, bro. Like, the fact that you think your culture or your ethnicity is better than every other ethnicity is fucking crazy in itself. It's wild, bro. It's wild to think that you really think that you're above everybody else. You know? Or that you guys are the best or have the best looking people or the smartest or it's crazy in itself, bro. You have good apples and bad apples in every ethnicity. But the sad part is that there is a lot of individuals that really do think that their ethnicity is number one. And you have them in every group that think like that. Every group at least has, several of those individuals that really do think that their shit is number one. What are your thoughts on people who consider themselves ex gang members or former gang members, like renegade media, but still try to gangster? I don't know. They're confused. you know, it's strange. Like, you want to better yourself, but not better yourself. You say you changed, but you really haven't. Like, to me, it just seems like it's at a convenience, right? Because it's beneficial. You don't want nothing to do with the gang life until it becomes beneficial, right? Because you're able to earn some type of revenue from it that now you indulge in it, right? But then when the very heat that you're creating gets too hot, then you want to say that you're just trying to do your thing and you're not about that no more. So it's like at the convenience. And I'm not saying, like, specifically him, right? But I mean individuals in general, right? Because when somebody does truly, leave that life behind, they don't indulge in these type of behaviors, right? They no longer care for that kind of shit. That is someone who truly has left a life behind and who's literally. But like I said, there's some individuals that at the convenience, like to play pretend. And probably why they ended up the way they ended up. Do you know what lately the people romanticizing uh, crashing out when in reality what that is just a mental breakdown of people. I know, but they just say crash out because they know that that's what's going to get people to click on stuff, right? Like, they overuse the title of stuff, right? Like, they call it a crash out, but it really wasn't a crash out, right? But they say that they're crashing out because it's what's going to get people to click, right? So they just use that as a manipulating tactic to get individuals to click. I am aware of, like, the tactics that people use, and I could play the same things too, right? But then I would be lying, right? And just it's not cool. And a lot of people do that, right? But then they say that they don't play those games in order to gain their viewers. That is just done with pure skills that they have, no manipulation. I always Plaza on Sundays saw some Punk rock fool trying some with the black guy. And when the black dude looked up, punk rock fool looked at asked to help him, but just told him, "You provoked." Yeah, like bro, like handle your scandal. That's what I'm saying though. Like people want to provoke, and then like like, oh, you let me hanging. Like, nah, how, bro? You create that shit, you handle it. Somebody's gang member likes to say stuff like, "Gangs use you until you're no longer useful." What do you think about that there, though? Saying that because their career ended. Uh, don't get me wrong. You will get nothing out of the street life, right? You will get no loyalty, none of this from the street life. This is very true. But this is something that individuals go in knowing, though. This is stuff that people know about, though. So it's not a shock or a secret. You get what I mean? It's like, so I don't know why they like to play dumb. You know what I mean? It's like, no, bro. What it is that you wanted to use the status of gangster to further move your career to whatever's position you wanted it, right? And then when stuff now started not going your way, or you no longer wanted to indulge in the very same madness that you yourself created, right? All of a sudden you want to play the victim, when it's like, well, no, bro, this is everything you wanted and you were striving for. No, this is everything that you wanted to and did, and you put yourself in this position to be in, right? So you created this for yourself, bro. No one else pushed you to do the things that you did. Nobody else put you here but you, right? But now, because stuff is not going your way, you don't want to no longer play the very shit that you created, right? And now you want to blame others. Why? These other people didn't fucking put you here. These other people didn't make every choice that you did the day that you got right in the scenario we're in, right? You know what I mean? But they don't talk about that kind of stuff, right? They don't talk about, how they got to this spot where they're in, right? The day that their career ended, right? However it ended, whatever thing happened that day, right? Yeah, but how did you get to that specific point, though? Didn't you yourself choose that ladder? Didn't yourself, making all these choices to this very same day right here that we're at? Wasn't that all you, though? You get what I'm saying? So the ones that want to defend them as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's break this over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we out.